Hey guys, Retire on Dividends here. I wanted to make a quick video to give you guys an update on FEPI. FEPI is the Rex Fang an Innovation Equity Premium Income ETF. Obviously, this is the Rex Shares ETF. And this is really one of their only covered call ETFs. They should have a lot more coming out in the future. But if you're going to have one, having FEPI is a really good one. So what does FEPI do? They own big tech companies and they sell cover calls and obviously provide income. And they've done very, very well. So why am I making this video? Well, it's time to give an update on FEPI and how they've been doing. And also their calls did expire on Friday. So I wanted to time this right and then do an update on see, how far out of the money are they with the new calls and so on and so forth. The only problem is I don't know when they rolled the calls out, because when I checked like Thursday, for example, the new calls were already up there. So they did not wait till Friday to do them. So I do not know, since they don't share intraday trades, I don't know when they actually did roll them. But regardless, it's not a big deal that we don't have that information. So you'll see when I share. So anyway, this fund incepted October 11th, 2023. Their NAV is $56.80. Net asset value is 91 million, which is pretty impressive. Shares outstanding 1.6 million. To date, they've done 3 distributions and it's gone up every single time. And then here's their holdings, which we'll get into. I downloaded them onto a spreadsheet. But yeah, that's pretty much it. If you want alerts from their website, you can just, fill in your information. And then every time they have some type of update, they'll email you, similar to the Yield Max and the Defiance ones. They have other funds you can look at too. And then that's pretty much it. If you click the Twitter, I don't know what Twitter brings up, but they were giving out free merchandise if you're interested in a FEPI t-shirt. So if you guys are interested in that, please, reach out to them and see what they got left. Okay. So anyway, let's get to my spreadsheet. So this is the FEPI spreadsheet, and I'm tracking, I guess, from inception. If I go to the top, right? Again, they launched it October 11th, and the price was $51.69. So again, I'm just tracking it as we go along, but what we care about is, how have they done from inception? As of Friday close, they're priced at $56.30. So, as you see below, launch date versus price, it's about a $5 change, or $4.61 as shown. They paid out $3.53 in dividends. So if you own this from inception, you would be up $8.14 per share, $3.53 from the dividend, and $4.61 in capital alone. Again, that's on paper, so it's not really a gain per se unless you sell. But if you consider all things, that's a 15.75% return. So keep that in mind. That is like absolutely outstanding since October. I am very, very impressed with this fund, and I've been buying more as I can. Unfortunately, I haven't been able to average down much. On occasion, I can average down, but as I'm adding, not gonna lie, I did average up a few times. But again, I wanted to increase my FEPI position. We talked about their dividends. There was only 3. When they update the new one, which they'll declare on February 23rd, I will make an updated video. That's very soon, by the way. So I have no idea. I don't really have a prediction either, but I'm assuming it's going to be around this range, maybe like $1.25 or so. It looks like they're trying to give us more money each time. All of their dividends, though, or shall I say distributions, have been 100% return of capital. It's because they have losses that they're able to offset, that against. Okay, so and we can get into that too. So last time I had I did this update. It was about, January 22nd. So this time I'm updating the holdings as of today. I put November 17th. What's today? Today's the 18th. Okay, so let's look at their holdings. So if you look at the top, they actually own these stocks. They own Tesla, Netflix, Meta, Salesforce, AMD, Intel, Nvidia, Amazon, Micron, Broadcom, Palo Alto, Microsoft, Apple, Alphabet, and Adobe. Okay? And then they have cash. All right. So that's great, right? So since they own those stocks, right? Any of them that actually pay a dividend, you'll get the dividend from that, So that's, another, I'm assuming you would. It doesn't see it. I don't read anything where it says they would reinvest that back into the fund, but I assume that would go into, the qualified income that they'll need to pay out a proportion of. And then in green, obviously, is cash, but in blue, we have the calls. So they sell calls on their funds. So if you look above, all of those funds should have a corresponding call. So you see, the ticker, Microsoft, Adobe, etc., right? So let me zoom in a little. And we'll just take a look at Microsoft, for example. So Microsoft, by the way, if you look real quick, they all have a 3/15 expiration. So that's 1 month out. They typically do 1 month covered call expiration dates. Let me get rid of the bottom. There you go. All right, so let's see what we got from Microsoft. So they did a 440 call. So if we look at the call versus the current price is 404. That's only 8.89% out of the money, right? Yeah, 8.8. I guess that's right. But 20, is it right? Oh yeah, duh. Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm looking at the other direction. So anyway, the current price of Microsoft is 404. Their call is at 440. So they are 8.89% out of the money, which means if Microsoft goes up all the way to 440, they'll get the income from that, right? They want it to stay below the call price. However, if it goes above, then obviously, they'll take a loss for whatever that is. But since their covered calls are so far out of the money, the Microsoft amounts that we own above, right? You see them here. Where is it? Where's Microsoft? Here, there it is. Yeah, so it's all of that Microsoft, that'll be capital gains, right? We can handle that portion of it, all capital gains. And by the way, if it does go above 440, they'll just cash settle that, right? And that'll be marked as a loss. And that's how they're able to do return of capital, because anytime the strike price is hit and gone over, they'll cash settle that. That is a loss on the books, and they could use that to net against the actual distribution. Because since they're not selling the underlying stock like Microsoft that they physically own, that's not an actual capital gain, right? So it's a paper win, right? But selling calls, obviously they'll get the premium for it. But if they took a loss when all said and done, obviously that loss is gonna they're gonna use that to the advantage. So anytime there's a loss, they can use that again to offset against the actual distribution being made, hence 100% return of capital to date. I don't know if that made sense to you guys, but I'll show another example in a second. But let's look at Adobe. Adobe, look at this, highlighted in green, because look how far out of the money, 18.9% out of the money. And again, I don't know what the percent out of the money was at the time they sold the call, but it could have been this much, because they could see something happening in Adobe, or maybe the implied volatility was much higher. They were able to go further out of the money and still collect a reasonable amount of premium. We don't know. Broadcom, 8% out of the money. Again, this is 1 month out, so 8% out of the money. Pretty good, right? Intel, 8% out of the money. Alphabet, 5% out of the money. Netflix, 4% out of the money. That's a little tight. Intel, 5% out of the money. AMD, they're pretty volatile, 9% out of the money for 1 month. Maybe it's a little tight, but who knows? Meta 3% out of the money, but they've been up, so who knows? Palo Alto 9% out of the money. Man, Nvidia, just look at that, man. Wow, they're going 7% out of the money. I think they have earnings coming up, so who knows what's going to happen? But they've just been going up. Micron 13% out of the money. Nvidia, another Nvidia, 4.66% out of the money. Broadcom, and again, why do they have like separate ones? It's probably because, well, let's see, did they scatter the two? Where's Nvidia? Where did Nvidia go? Oh, there's the two Nvidia. Okay, 780 and 760. So even FEPI is smart enough to scatter. So obviously they probably got more money, so they bought additional shares and they sold additional calls. Either that or they scattered from day one. So let's see if they have another duplicate. AMD, for example. Yeah, AMD 180. AMD, where'd it go? 190. Yeah, man, they're scattering their stocks. Let's see, Netflix. Netflix 610. Netflix 590. Yeah, man, I didn't even see that before. Good job, FEPI. FEPI rules. I got nothing bad to say about FEPI. I mean, so far, it's been an amazing fund. However, look at Tesla. Tesla with a call of 200. What's up with that? I mean, did they sell their calls when Tesla was at the 180 range? I don't know. That was like 2 weeks ago. But right now, Tesla's at 199.95. So Tesla is only 0.03% out of the money. And oddly enough, Yield Max, although it's a 1 week expiration, they have their strike price at 200. So what is happening? Is this 200 level really the true resistance? Can we not get past 200? Are they that confident? Again, I don't know. This is the only one that's really tight. So I highlighted in black. So there's two Teslas. The other one's 195. So that's 2.48% in the money. So yeah, I don't know what happened there. I don't know why they're doing Tesla so tight. They didn't do that before. Last month was pretty further out. But yeah, I don't know. Either way, if Tesla does go above 195 or 200, they will likely cash settle and not get assigned. They're not going to let their stocks get assigned, at least from what I read. Again, not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This video is for fun and entertainment, and I'm just going to give my opinion. Whether right or wrong, to be determined. But again, Tesla, so if Tesla, by end of next month, if Tesla's 250, guess what? They're going to have to take a hit. They're going to have to cash settle. But again, that could be under the loss bucket and netted with the distribution. So they are able to pay more return of capital. Because again, they're not selling their shares. So they're not making profits, capital gain profits, all right? They're only making profits right now, from what I can tell, from selling calls, the premium. And then obviously the losses that are coming in are the buy to close. All right, so let's keep going down the line. Alphabet, 9% out of the money. That one's pretty good. We talked about Micron. Tesla's kind of in a tough spot. AMD, 3% out of the money. Microsoft, 6%. Apple, 6%. Amazon, 6%. And look at Adobe, 17% of the money. So the two strikes on Adobe, what do they got? They got like, where is it? Where'd it go? There it is. 640 strike. What was the top one? 650. Man, Adobe, they must expect something out of Adobe, unless they're just so volatile. I doubt it, but I never invested in Adobe. I just didn't there's just that's it. That's all they do, Adobe. I'm sure there's more, but I just never really thought of them to invest. So yeah, Adobe is very far out of the money. Not everyone else is not. They're just like average, 5, 6, 7, nothing crazy. This Nvidia one, man, they better hope earnings don't go crazy, because that call is 740 and it's 1.91% out of the money. So they could be taking losses on Tesla and Nvidia this month. But again, we don't want the losses, but if they're gonna take the losses, at least that's more return of capital. Again, for tax purposes that we can have. But keep in mind, when they pay return of capital, whatever that distribution is, if it's 100%, that gets reduced. your taxable cost basis then gets reduced. So if they keep paying return of capital, dollar here, dollar there, and then eventually they do it 50 times and you have $50 per share in return of capital, your cost basis will be zero. And then it's after that point, whether they do return of capital or not is irrelevant, and you'll still have to pay taxes. So hopefully that made sense. That's one thing I read up on, because I was like, oh, that's awesome. But then obviously, it's only awesome for a certain period of time. So their average out of the money is 6.55% for 1 month. But, if this was just Tesla, I'd say that's stupid. But since it's a lot of stable companies like Microsoft, Apple, Broadcom, etc., Google, NVIDIA and Tesla are the only ones, and AMD probably, are the only ones that I'd say, that's too tight. It's very too tight. I mean, Tesla's, I don't know what's going on with Tesla calls. 200 must be like, people just don't have the hope they can break 200. I don't know. I just think they're wrong there. So anyway, for FEPI, just so you guys know, if you add up everything from the top, this is the net value for the shares that they own, okay, and then the net value for the calls. Again, that net value will bring it down because this is how much it costs to close. So if you look at the Tesla one on the bottom, $397,000 it costs to close. And then if you look at the Adobe one, those are way out of the money, right? Where's Adobe? $1,788. Where's the other Adobe? $1,007. So again, cheap, chump change. What's the cheapest one? Microsoft. This is 8.89% out of the money. It only cost $840 to settle that one. I don't know what they got premium-wise when they sold the calls, but you get the gist, right? So anyway, the total of the net assets currently $90,877,000. Outstanding shares 1.6 million. So the NAV is 5680, which typically represents the trading price. Okay. So that's it in a nutshell, guys. FEPI still doing very well. Some of the calls are debatable. Obviously the Tesla call. We have a Netflix call that's really tight too. 1% out of the money. A little close. So they got NVIDIA, Tesla, and a Netflix call, which is debatable. But everything else looks pretty good. And overall, the fund is performing very well. So I'm going to increase my position. I think I'm just about at 5% of my total portfolio, which is typically my limit. But again, I don't own 20 shares of overall yet, so it's tough to hit. So I may increase this a little more until I eventually add 20 plus positions, and then I could truly have a 5% max rule. Because right now, my Tesla weighting is still around 20%. And, it is what it is. I'm trying to get that down, but I'm trying, I didn't want to sell and take any more losses, but we'll see. We'll see what goes. But FEPI, I guess the moral of the story is FEPI is doing very well. No shock there. Nothing bad to say about Rec shares, because they've been nothing but grateful for, even a schleff like me putting out content. They're appreciative, and they offered, free merchandise, to everyone too, to people that follow them on Twitter. I thought that was really, really cool. Small things like that go a long way. YieldMax did not reach out to me for any merchandise, and I'm pretty sure, I think I'd help them out a little, just explaining how their funds work, because based on their videos, you don't really get that. It's not really explained, but I don't know. But Defiance did reach out, and to see if I did want merch. Well, they said Defiance. It was from Defiance, not YieldMax. So they did finally reach out and to see if I wanted merchandise. I don't know if it's Defiance merchandise or YieldMax, and they also wanted to know if I wanted to interview Jay or Sylvia. So I don't know with that. We'll see soon. I know it's unrelated, but I just thought of it for a second. But either way, guys, that's all I got for FEPI. That's the monthly update. Again, as far as the declaration, it's coming up actually. Yeah, it's coming up the 23rd. So I may have to do another FEPI update next weekend. So we'll, tune in for that. We'll see what the distribution is. If I have the time, I'll do the updated video if you guys want to see that. And again, yeah, stay tuned for that. But if you own FEPI from day one, you're doing great. If you own FEPI in general, you're doing great. But either way, let me know your thoughts on FEPI. Are you guys that high on FEPI like me, or do you have, are you not that interested? Either way, just let me know in in the comments below. If you enjoyed this content, just let me know via the like button. Obviously, if you want to help my channel, as always, feel free to share the videos. You don't have to ask me for permission on that. You can share them wherever you choose. I don't even care where you share it. But anyway, I gotta go. I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your weekend. Well, actually, I'm posting this tomorrow morning, which is going to be Monday. Some people are off, so it's still the weekend. Some people will be working. But either way, enjoy your Monday. All right, take care. Later.